Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Mission Impodsible.
Mission Impodsible.
Impodsible.
Our now 2-part series on Mission Impodsible. No, on Mission Impossible.
You son of a bitch.
It's all right. I was bound to ruin this. Anyway, so we're gonna be back with Daniel O'Brien and
yeah, and I think Ghost Protocol's where we left, somewhere around there.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll figure this out.
But yeah, enjoy.
Yeah, Tom Cruise his character gets married. He
has a cool team of people that we never see again.
Firmly establish the real team, even though we briefly have another team that doesn't matter.
Yeah, we never see them again
for reasons that will strain credulity forever. Ving Rhames continues to make the cut, and now he's got a job for life.
Yeah. Good for Ving.
And then I think Ghost Protocol moving into that is the first one where they've locked down his team. Is that the first one where the team is the same?
That's the first one where we've got repeat from Benji and repeat from Ving Rhames. I guess
right.
4-peat at this point from Ving.
But we get Paula Patton, who we never see again.
We never see her again.
We don't see her again?
No, she doesn't come back in
She's
either
not
5
in
or
Rogue
6.
Nation? Shit.
He has a new leader.
She was really good.
Yeah.
He briefly has a new leader in Ghost Protocol. The new head of the IMF is Tom Wilkinson, and he dies
immediately. Gets his head shot open.
He's in prison in the beginning,
and
then gets out of prison with the help of Benji, and then does his mission.
Yeah.
This is the introduction of Jeremy Renner.
It is, yeah.
Who's basically playing like Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
They keep talking about him as an analyst.
I'm so excited that we're finally at Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
So sad.
The Rennerverse.
Should we talk about the behind the scenes stuff of that right now?
Please do.
Because it's pretty interesting. This is when the Tom Cruise meltdown happened, right? This is
afterwards. It was 2005.
Okay.
And then it hurt War of the Worlds. It probably hurt Mission Impossible 3. I mean, it definitely did in my memory because I didn't like it. He was in image recovery mode.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I dug up all these articles about it because the thing I always admired about Tom Cruise is that he's a very objective producer, I think. And so this was the movie where he had sat down, his company was Cruise Wagner. They got dropped by Paramount, I believe. And then they went to a new company and they were looking for an image change. That's where Tropic Thunder came from. I'm sure Tropic Thunder was going to exist either way, but that's where his involvement came from.
Yeah, him doing that was...
And then he said specifically he didn't want to do something derivative, which I think was Night and Day, which wasn't...
They did Night and Day, and I think their first... Because they joined United Artists, and I think the first thing they did was that movie Lions for Lambs.
Yes,
yeah.
And that bombed.
In terms of movies with him in it. This was about...
Is he not in Lions for Lambs?
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But it did feel like it was part of career relaunch, and it was I'm going to play a romantic comedy part, I'm going to do another action part,
right.
and I'm going to do this older dickish part, just trying to go through a bunch of different things that Tom Cruise can do. And Lions for Lambs was definitely I'm fast talking, full of shit salesman type guy who is selling the war.
I think so.
I
never saw it.
And
it's pretty bad.
He toned down the Scientology at this point, right? Yeah. And then that's when they decided the studio wanted a younger action star in Mission Impossible in case he needs to take over, which it feels like the most ego punishing thing for an actor. But instead Tom Cruise seeked out Jeremy Renner and was the person to convince him to do it. Uh-huh. And he did it the way you were describing with McQuarrie, where he talked to him and he was like, I'll think about it, and then just immediately got a call from Tom Cruise so you're gonna do it, right? Are you on board? And it's okay.
So he hounded old Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. And he got him in. He got him in to do very, very little because ultimately he didn't need to be replaced.
Right. The lore was definitely Jeremy Renner, we're going to build a franchise around you. There's going to be a passing the torch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree to those terms?
Yes.
Which poor Jeremy Renner, this is one of 2 times he's been told that the actor was getting too old and they would have to get a new one. And then they're like, you know what? We're good with the first guy.
And it's so much worse than what happened with the Bourne franchise, because with Bourne, he made a Bourne movie.
At least he had his own movie.
And it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And they just did another one with Matt Damon. Now he's just stuck in this franchise getting dunked on by Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Like, he spends most of the next movie just in office scenes with Alec Baldwin.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he
doesn't even get to do cool stuff.
No. They just,
Renner, man.
It feels like a punishment for, like, a hubris that Renner never expressed. It's not like hubris like stormed in there and was like, I'm going to be the next Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise needs to put him in his place or anything.
No, they had to convince him to do it.
Jeremy Renner, it's a kind of like, I remember watching The Town and being like, this guy's going to fucking go places.
Yeah, it's really good.
And that place he's going to go is playing like side characters.
Yeah,
and it's a real bummer.
It's such a, like, it's the only salve on that for me that makes it kind of okay is that he just seems like a dick in real life, and like he's constantly putting his foot in his mouth. He's given several terrible interviews when it comes as a 40-year-old white guy talking about women and gender politics. He has never said the right thing. So part of me is like, yeah, dunk on him, Tommy. Like,
actually,
do what you got to do for a while.
He might just be a dickhead,
but
so maybe
I
they're just
do
like,
think he's a very good actor.
He is.
I really like him in everything he's done.
He is still he made that movie Wind River last year, which is a really good movie. So he's
Let's talk about that off mic.
I thought it was good.
I don't know what Wind River is. It sounds like an indie film. Like if I was gonna make fun of independent films, I would make a spoof film called Wind River.
No, it's not. So much of it is the exact kind of movie that I love because it's like modern noir. A lot of writers find increasingly new and exciting ways to make noirs, which is hard to do. You just need to go somewhere that is pretty low on police and order, but still modern somehow. It's why I loved Winter's Bone so much, because you're going to like Appalachia.
Oh yeah,
you're going somewhere where like sort of the people run the town, and there's one person who's trying to solve a mystery. And this one, Wind River, it's like either right on Native American reservation or right on the border of it. So it's still fairly lawless, because there's a lot of like mob history tied up with Native American reservations, because like local police can't really go there and solve a mystery. So you can murder someone and then dump them in a reservation, and that's one of the ways that you can get away scot-free. So it's a really cool setting for like a modern noir detective western kind of thing.
Right.
I just thought there were a lot of holes in it, but we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that
in next week's episode.
Yeah, next week's episode of Wind River Cast.
All right, so we're on Ghost Protocol. We got Jeremy.
We got Jeremy.
We got probably the most memorable set piece action scene.
The hotel.
Yeah, in Dubai.
It's a good
that
sequence.
Sort of sets the tone for the next films.
Yeah,
because I do think Ghost Protocol is almost like a second reboot, because because
it's
they're
the start of the second trilogy.
Yeah.
And Ghost Protocol was like, we had the wire stunt. Podcast listeners can't see, but I'm starfishing right now. It's when he's
starfishing,
breaking into the white room, and that's the iconic thing. But I don't think we thought of Mission Impossible movies as movies containing at least one giant action stunt set piece until Protocol, right? After Protocol, I was like, well, how's he going to top that?
Exactly.
Which I didn't think in 2 or 3. I wasn't like looking for the next cool sequence, but now it's like, does this building thing, now he's got to hang out of a helicopter, now he's got to hold his breath for 3 minutes or whatever.
Right.
He's got to do this other thing.
What's funny is this.
We'll get there.
He learned to hold his breath for 6.5 minutes, because he only needed to hold his breath for a couple minutes for the shots, but since he's exerting himself so much.
That's Rogue Nation. That's Rogue Nation.
Let's stay on Ghost Protocol.
But one thing I did realize is that the structure is always the same, no matter how grand the stunt is, whether it be him in that white room held by wires or him hanging off of that. They can only do so many beats where like something is going to go wrong, or like there's always like a simpler way. It occurred to me in the first film, why didn't they poison the room guy? I guess they needed his retinal scan or so. It feels like they do stuff. They could have just assumed his identity, somehow.
Probably.
Or
they could have assumed his identity,
or when he's hanging.
They could have said something in the plot that someone could have said at some point in that movie. I would just wear a mask of his if it wasn't the fact that our weights were different. Like they could have
but then
bullshitted their way out of that.
There's also when Tom Cruise is hanging over him, I thought like just knock him out. Like he's in the white room with knock him out and then the security's off and then just do your thing. And
my main problem with the white room sequence is there's no cameras in that room.
Nope, no cameras. But and this movie has the same.
Why wouldn't there be
the same issue, which is they don't know it at the time, but that whole climbing sequence on the tower is for nothing ultimately,
right?
Because they're just like, we need give them the real diamonds, and they're like, we're scrambled the codes. We can't scramble the codes. Just give them unscrambled codes, and it's like, then don't do any of this. Yeah. Just let them do their deal.
I think another hallmark of this franchise that we really saw in, I think carried on from 3 through the present, is that almost nothing you do actually matters.
Yeah.
Like the end, the villain almost always will say right to your face, I knew it was going to end this way.
Yeah.
Like everything that you did was part of me getting this face to face with you right now. Which is fine. Like that's the ride that I signed up for.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's not like there's a purpose to it before it happens. Like in the moment he needs to climb up on the outside.
There's still little things like why did they cut it so close to the meeting? Did they need to cut it so close to the meeting?
I don't know.
Like the
timing might have just worked out that way. I don't know. They do get to the hotel with like 28 minutes to door knock.
They do this in the later ones too, where it's like there's unnecessarily like syncing up like that, where they do it just for dramatic effects. I mean, none of this matters because at this point we're just watching it for.
And it's great,
fun fucking stunts. And
I want to back up to the beginning. This is the Brad Bird one, and it feels like he did an Incredibles movie for like adults.
Yeah,
that's just for adults.
When he jumps off the roof and has the airbag.
Yeah,
I was like, this is silly as shit.
Yeah, it's great. The opening with Josh Holloway.
Yeah,
with Sawyer from Lost.
It's so confusing that someone put Sawyer in a Mission Impossible, and it wasn't J.J. Abrams. It wasn't the guy from Lost. It was a different guy.
Yeah.
He still produced this movie, so maybe he like slid it in there. But it's I thought it was an effective cameo because we still know who Sawyer is at the point when this movie comes out, and it's sort of like an Estevez thing where like, so when he gets killed, you're like, oh shit.
I was, until you said that, it hadn't occurred to me, but yeah, they absolutely got me with the same exact fucking trick that they did with Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
That I was a kid being like, it's Coach Bombay. And then I'm a 20-something-year-old man being like, it's Sawyer. And then he dies, and I'm like, what? Stakes.
Get shot by the lady from Midnight in Paris. A lot. She shoots him a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it is brutal. And that when he falls and it drops and you see what he saw on his phone that made him like have that reaction, it's like it was his retinal camera identifying her as an assassin. It's such a fucking Incredibles moment.
Yeah.
The movie is so
the
good.
graphics of just the assassin and big words on there. Yeah.
Brad Bird, I put with Spielberg as far as expertly being able to present a clear geography and sequence of action.
Yeah.
So many directors, we talked about this in the Ready Player One podcast, but a lot of the Marvel and DC movies, for as much as I enjoy a lot of them, the geography of action is rarely clear. There's a bunch of CGI things bouncing around.
Yeah.
With Brad Bird, especially with Incredibles 2, and also with this movie, I can really, really very clearly trace the action of what's going on, and I feel like I'm very much aware of what's happening in a way that like a lot of directors don't do.
It's a real bummer he didn't do Jurassic World he was supposed to.
He didn't want to.
Yeah.
So, he decided to do Tomorrowland instead.
It was more important to him that you liked him.
Yeah.
This would destroy your love of him.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
He's not as good as Spielberg is in this respect, but he's also good at the escalation in his action sequences.
Yeah.
Man, I just fucking love this movie.
I like it a lot too. It's when we get into rankings, we'll talk about it. They did a good thing with Jeremy Renner. You think he's gonna turn, and he doesn't. I mean, I guess it's a good thing. it feels like more dunking. Like
Yeah,
Right.
Well, no, that's
At this
him
point,
being a bad guy would have been kind of interesting.
that's in 5 that happens when you think he's dimed them out to.
I assumed he was going to turn in this movie.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Just because,
I think
like,
it's
all right, well, Sawyer's dead. Jeremy Renner, you're new, and you're also famous, so, like, you're probably going to be bad. Like, we haven't introduced a new regular since Simon Pegg, and I have no reason to assume that Jeremy Renner is going to be a good guy, because he sort of seems like he's definitely hiding something throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
You don't
Yeah.
know until the end that it's his involvement in the death of Ethan Hunt's, the quote-unquote death of Ethan Hunt's quote-unquote wife.
Right.
But you know there's like, he's not telling you the full story, and Ethan doesn't trust him. And Ethan is like the only one that we know we can trust in this franchise right now.
Yeah.
So he's our way in. So I'm looking for Jeremy Renner to double-cross. Nope.
it's almost
He's not
more,
interesting.
It's almost more a twist that he doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the whole stuff with the wife, by the way, pure coincidence that they're working together. Like Ethan only figures that out like halfway through the movie. Like, oh, this is the guy who thinks he's responsible for my wife dying. Should I tell him? Nah, I won't tell him.
No, I won't
and
tell
I
him.
was expecting at the very end where he reveals for Jeremy Renner to just be like, "You son of
Right.
a bitch."
It's the least realistic thing because
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, you didn't know? His wife was fine.
Yeah,
She
and-
lives on an island. And he's like,
Oh, you got me.
Ethan, you got me. And not like,
Ethan, you old so-and-so.
I'm still in therapy over
Yeah,
this.
he's just like,
You fucking idiot.
It ruined his
maniac.
career.
Everything is different for me now. I can't sleep.
And I spend my nights with a gun in my mouth. Like,
I wake up like Richard Gere in that cop movie where I Russian roulette myself and I'm like, not today. And then I go to work.
Yeah. And then my day begins.
yeah.
Yeah, like it changed his entire career. Like he became an analyst and it's just like, I'm going to ride around
Yeah.
in limousines with Tom Wilkinson. Like that's going to be my life now because I thought I was, while I was supposed to be watching your wife, somebody took her and chopped her up and threw her in bags in a river.
I spend every day thinking, why am I spared? Where's
Right.
justice for me? And it never comes, Ethan. And it was a bit. You had so many opportunities to tell me.
I had remembered the bad guy being Mads Mikkelsen in this movie, and it's totally not. It's
Tommy Lee Jones.
I think it's Tommy Lee
Yeah.
Jones. No, it's a guy from the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Michael Nyquist, is that his name?
I don't know. I can't remember the villain right now.
I can't either.
It's totally blanking. This is the least
What's the
memorable
guy?
villain.
It's the guy from the. Yeah,
Oh, he's the guy. He like. I remember them fighting in the car.
he's the bad guy from John Wick.
Okay, so he's.
Michael, yeah, I'm going to say that your pronunciation is right, but it's Michael and then a series of consonants until we get to the end of this name.
Until we get to
Nice.
the end of his name. End name. Yeah, I
Kurt
thought
Hendricks is his name in the movie. Kurt Hendricks.
I thought he was memorable just in terms of he kills himself.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
rather than Ethan tracks him down, chases him down to this carport, which is a cool sequence.
Yeah.
They're fighting in this giant tower of cars that are mechanisms are constantly going off that are raising and lowering the cars and moving them back and forth. And there's a cool moment where it makes me flinch thinking about it, where the car moves forward against Ethan and his bent foot gets caught underneath it as it's rolling forward.
Yeah.
It's like heel up. It's just like it's one of those like anytime somebody gets their Achilles tendon cut in a movie, it makes me flinch. And rather than give up his nuclear launch codes to Ethan, he just clutches the case in his chest and turns and dives head first
Right.
Yeah.
off this tower. He bounces face first off a car and then rolls over
Right.
and flops like 6 more stories down on the concrete. It is intense.
Yes. But I guess the reason I forgot who he was is that this starts, and it's not just the Mission Impossibles, it's the I just want to create chaos
Yeah.
phase of villains where everybody's the Joker, or like Moriarty in Sherlock does the same thing where he
Yeah.
blows his brains out. So when it's like when they suddenly realize like, oh, they don't need like a motivation that makes sense. They can just be trying to cause chaos for some really broad reason. And like the Syndicate is like that too. They seem like they're the anti-IMF, and it's like, what does that even fucking mean?
Yeah, why?
Right.
They're just villains for the sake of being villains.
I think that's just where these franchises go when they last long enough. That like
right.
Bond is the best spy in the world, and this is like the most secret organization. It was like, okay, well, there's a nega Bond, there's a mirror Bond, there's a bad Bond. Like there's
right.
like
Bond with a goatee.
We've spent so many movies where the impossible mission force solves an impossible mission that is like, all right, we can't reasonably expect the audience to believe that a terrorist or a maniac can outsmart them. So let's just build up their equal. Let's make Bizarro Superman. Let's make Nega IMF. Like, it's cliched, but like still effective. Like, I don't know what else you could do other than Simon Pegg saying anti-IMF. And I was like, okay.
Now I get it. Now I'm right there with
I
you.
do wish they tried harder, only because this also begins when Ralph McQuarrie is writing them.
Christopher McQuarrie.
Ralph McQuarrie. Who's Ralph
different
McQuarrie?
Dude. That's the Star Wars guy.
Oh, yeah, that is. Okay. Christopher McQuarrie he's started writing them here. He was brought onto this one. And this is also the thing that I found an article about the new movie where they were talking about how the original script for Fallout was like 30 pages long. And they just figured it out as they went along, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Kubrick did that with The Shining.
Sure.
But that's because he's Kubrick. But this was when they started saying, the interview with McQuarrie is that they decided to shoot all the exposition moments in cars or in tight spaces so that when they figure out what's actually happening, they could go back and reshoot those scenes.
Beautiful.
And this, if you knowing that and having rewatched these movies, it happens a lot. Mm-hmm. They get into a car, someone tells them what's happening, and then an action sequence happens.
I'd like to take this opportunity to let Hollywood know, if Hollywood is listening, I bet the three of us sitting around this table, we got a couple of 30-page screenplays you can check out.
Yeah.
If you need someone to write a movie that is 30 pages and takes place in cars, I am cheaper than Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah, it's very frustrating for that exact reason.
Just throwing that out there.
Because I've been writing scripts and it's like, motherfucker. Like, and that's why it feels like I get that it's almost not necessary, because it's like, yeah, sure, have the villain just be generically evil, but they're not doing that because they know it doesn't matter. They're doing it because it's the same guy writing these, and he has 30-page scripts, and they're like, just make them just want us destabilize. Like, it's laziness at this point.
This villain felt like one of their more lazy ones, because his thing was just nuclear war. Is that correct?
Yeah, and he's barely in it.
Yeah. It's just about the action pieces at this point, which is fine. Yeah. It's just that there were versions, the first De Palma film, like there is a version of Mission Impossible that can be better than this.
Sure. Story-wise, I think I really like this movie. I like the team. I like just watching the team go on missions.
Yeah.
And how they all interact, and it gets, things don't go right, and they have to call audibles, and it's just great.
Speaking of team, Ving Rhames is in this movie, but not part of the team. He shows up in an uncredited cameo at the end to talk to Michelle Monaghan. So we learn that she's alive, and and even though she's living in secret, they still keep in touch. The only other guy that people know is friends with Tom Cruise is talking to his dead wife,
supposedly dead wife.
And again, Jeremy Renner's probably seeing that, like, really? This is why I have panic attacks?
Are we on to Ghost Protocol or Rogue Nation?
We're on to Rogue Nation.
That's number 5.
And I'm bummed, super bummed that Paula Patton never comes back.
She never comes back. No.
Yeah, she kicks that lady out of the fucking
straight
tower.
Out of the goddamn
it's
tower.
Awesome.
Just like boot to the stomach.
Yeah, this Ghost Protocol felt like they had locked down their team, and then they were just like, let's get another lady.
I like her though. I like Rebecca Ferguson.
I do too. I think she's one of the best things that ever happened in the franchise.
They could have more than one lady.
We could have more than one.
Yeah.
No.
Only one?
Obviously. But yeah, Rogue Nation is first time we get introduced to Alec Baldwin, who works for the CIA at this point, and he wants to shut down IMF, and he successfully does shut down IMF.
Yeah.
IMF, who is run by Jeremy Renner, or the secretary who runs it, no one's been appointed. There's no interim person running IMF. Jeremy Renner is like the highest ranking person.
It seems like it, yeah.
And he decides to end up cooperating with the CIA when IMF gets shut down. Tom Cruise is still working this angle. He believes in the invention of the syndicate, which is the anti-IMF, and he is going to chase down every lead he can find while the CIA thinks he has gone completely insane.
Yeah.
And they're trying to track him down. And it turns out he was right. There was a syndicate, which is the anti-IMF, set up by
The British government.
And led by Solomon Lane, who's a very chilling bad guy. And they're just like a bunch of anarchists and assassins and highly trained people who exist to sort of destabilize the world.
I think the conceit is that they've all been tools of geopolitics for so long. Particularly Lane, he expresses it, that it's just like they've been so jaded by it, and they're so just done with being used to do, all sorts of terrible crimes just for the sake of politics. They're just like, fuck it, we're going to be our own rogue nation.
Yeah.
And they can all go to hell.
He says he used to kill to like keep the world the same, and what's wrong with killing to
now
change
he's gonna kill
it?
to change it, yeah. The MacGuffin in this one, we don't really know until the end, but what it is a thing that allows the syndicate access to billions of dollars, which would fund them in whatever antics they have for eternity and allow them to just keep doing their thing in secret, very well funded forever. That's what we're chasing.
This also seemed the most like
much
the first movie to me. It's a little more spy-ish. There's like, what's her name? The
Ilsa?
Who? The British
Ilsa, yeah.
Ilsa,
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, she
Ilsa
like
Faust.
you don't know who she's working for necessarily.
They named her
that scene at
Faust.
the
Just
opera.
to make sure we're not sure of
The opera's a very cool scene.
The opera seemed very like not lower stakes, but like a little. Less.
It's more
over
about
the
tension.
Top.
Yeah,
it's more about tension. There we go.
The lighting is cool. It's very moody. There's like the fact that the music is like opera music is just naturally very tense, and like no one is talking. You're watching a bunch of people very methodically build guns out of flutes and shit. And Cruise, you're with Ethan at that point where you're just like, you feel like you're looking at a bunch of pieces, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Why are there 3 gunmen? Who are we even trying to shoot right now? And they try to foreshadow something with like, Ilsa looks through the music and sees a note, and like it's marked with red, like this is when you have to take the shot, and it's like, oh great, I'll listen for the high C. Who is this foreshadowing for?
Well, they cut to the sheet music to let us all know when it's about to happen. Yeah. Right before it happens. But yeah, it's like,
I want to see that movie again in theaters just for when it gets that, or like go back in time to when it came out. I want to see that part and just very potentially lean to whomever is near me and be like, I know when that's coming up. I'll let you know.
I'll let you know.
It's a very moving part of the piece. I'll let you know. When we're about 4 bars out from it, I'll tap you on the knee.
I'll key you in. So you know when to really start biting your nails. I like that. It's more about because like you said, it's a lot like the first one. And the first one was the goal. The MacGuffin really is trying to figure out who Job is, trying to figure out who the mole is. And so all of the things they do in the first movie is to draw Job out. And this one, he's just trying to prove that the syndicate is real. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the gambit at the end with Alec Baldwin and the British
Prime Minister, and then
there's just something about it that felt, and it
good.
Still had its action, still had the plane,
and it's definitely the first one since the first one where I believed Hunt was on his own, where I felt like he was really burnt and couldn't rely on anyone or couldn't trust anyone except his very small team.
Is this the one, or is it the one previous where they go into the Kremlin?
That was the one previous.
Oh, okay.
That was the one that Hendricks,
the Kremlin thing, was cool.
Used the Kremlin explosion as like cover up for the stolen nuclear. Whatever.
And also made it seem like Ethan had bombed the Kremlin.
I just want to go back and quickly say that they stole the hallway thing from Toys.
But the hallway thing is great.
Yes, but they stole it from Toys.
Toys is a piece of shit.
All right, so we're all saying
you can mine whatever you want
pretty
from
hot
that
here.
film.
So I want to talk about when he jumps into the big water butthole.
Sure, the water hole.
Yeah,
the water anus.
He held his breath for that. Which I've had this issue. I have this issue with the skydiving scene later too. They broke it up and they made it kind of CGI. Like he learned to hold his breath for so long for something that he didn't have to do that.
It never even like, I never believed it as him being underwater.
Yeah,
and like it's not. It's a thing that my family has always done with underwater scenes. Is if someone goes underwater, we hold our breath and we like see.
Oh,
we
yeah.
hold our breath for as long as the person, and that's really fun when you're doing like a continuous shot of someone doing something. This is so broken up and so CGI that it's like, well, you didn't need to do this.
Well,
Like,
it was
like
you
it's
didn't have to
an
do
inhuman
that.
amount of time.
It
And
was-
it doesn't sell as, man, Tom Cruise really learned how to do it.
It's very disappointing because I had heard there was like a tracking shot of him holding his breath underwater before I saw this movie, and there is like a few oneers that last like
there's
maybe
some
a
long
minute,
takes, yeah.
but it's so augmented with CGI, and it would have been 1,000 times more tense if they had just had not that fucking arm going around and just had Tom Cruise under there, a oneer of just him holding his breath and doing this thing. It would have been so cool.
Yeah, I had the. I did feel a little claustrophobia for him because I was trying to imagine jumping into a pit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you hit the water, you're gonna lose some air.
Oh yeah.
And then he's got to just sit in there for 3 minutes in like this tomb
Yeah.
underwater. And then
like-
when he's opening the hatch and like you see him start to drown,
Yeah.
like his lungs are spasming. It's like, oh my god,
That seemed real. That was really well done. Like I don't know if that's good acting, Tom, or if it's just like.
I hope it's good
you're
acting,
drowning.
Tom. I
You're
hope he's
drowning,
not
Tom.
starting to
Yeah,
drown.
that reminded me of Poseidon, the
when
remake.
Kurt Russell dies.
Yeah, which was a very good drowning.
Yeah. You mentioned it, the 6-minute thing that in preparation for this, in interviews, Tom Cruise has said that he trained himself to hold his breath for 6 minutes. I believe that Tom Cruise believes that he can do that. I don't believe for a second that he actually can.
People can't
but
do that.
I don't think Tom Cruise can.
Yeah.
I just like have it in my heart that like he woke up one day and like self-actualized, stared in the mirror and was like, "Can you hold your breath for 6 minutes?" "Yes, Tom." "I did it.
Well, that's
I've mastered another skill."
Either way, I'm imagining him coming to set and announcing it, and the director being, "Oh, okay, that's great. We don't need that, but sure."
Christopher McQuarrie has said that like doing the scenes where he has to sit there and hold his breath fucked him up for the rest of the day. Like
Yes, yeah.
like he was like so like out of it, and like because you get a lot of like nitrogen in your blood from being in the water tank and holding your breath.
Right,
Like
yeah, there's the quote here. Too.
Yeah.
He was exhausted all the time. I also like this quote from him. Where is it? There'd be times I'd be sitting there talking in meetings and I wouldn't breathe, from Tom Cruise. So I'm imagining them in production meetings and just like, what do you think, Tom? Tom, just breathe. Just Tom, like,
Tom, please breathe.
this is not the time.
This,
like,
we don't need you to
yeah.
see this. I'm beating my record.
Oh, people listening, I just did a fun physical silent bit.
I do have a question about this
Dan
sequence.
humorously touched his watch.
Yeah. So the whole reason he has to hold his breath is because nothing metal can go through the water butthole. First of all, why does he have to time that exactly with Simon Pegg? Why can't Simon Pegg wait a minute, just a minute,
Yeah.
and go in? Like, there's no reason they didn't had to time that.
Tom, you have 3 minutes to do this. So I'm going to set my watch for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah, they sync it up way too close. But the other thing is he drowns, and then she has to jump in and save him, which is not part of the plan. Not part of the plan.
No, that's an audible.
And then they go through the
hatch.
The hatch. And then she's resuscitating him with a defibrillator on the other side. Where did the defibrillator come from?
She took off her pants to go save him in her underwear, but like strap the defibrillator on her back, I fucking guess.
No metal can go through. So she couldn't have brought that through. It had to have been on the other side.
Right, I assume they put
but
it there.
Why? Because if he drowns, who's gonna like? How does that help him? Nobody is like, they're not waiting for him on the other side. There's no one there waiting with the defibrillator. So it was just in that tunnel.
It's one of those things that, like, you're absolutely right, doesn't make sense, but they could have done a version of this movie where before we see her shocking him with the paddles, she pulls something out of her fucking hair and it expands into a defibrillator.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh yeah, spy shit, good. Like, a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, I know could have been fixed with bad writing. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, I guess.
I would have also accepted Benji just waiting when they
Right, because he walked. They knew they were all going to meet.
Yeah, I would have accepted someone that's there with a med thing, like with the knowledge of like, oh, he might drown.
Right. It's not. For me, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they would have put a med kit by that hatch exit just in case he fucking hits his head or starts to die. Shooting through that tube.
It just feels like they really played it fast and loose.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to begin with, he never even confirms that he can do that. Like, the spy mission, Ilsa's just like, we need someone who could hold their breath for 3 minutes. And Simon Pegg's like, oh, he could do that.
Right.
And Tom Cruise looks at him like, fuck off. He's like, oh, that'll be easy for you. You'll just do that. He's like, all right, like, they didn't do, there's no montage of him learning to do that. He's just like, I don't know, Benji really believes in me.
Fuck it, I'll do it on the day.
They go out of their way to show that she has a pool and she's been
practicing.
She's been
so
trying.
all Tom Cruise has to do is just go out and see. Just stick his head under the water.
He could easily just be like, I feel like you're farther along on this than I am.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be easier to train you up to 3 minutes than it would be for me.
I love that stupid goddamn oxygen meter.
What is that?
What is that measuring? The oxygen in your body?
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
what it shows.
It's a bar. Like decreases. I'm like, that's not how breathing works.
I mean, the technology, the way they show technology in this movie always really makes me laugh. Whenever Benji is hacking something, he's got an iPad, and it's usually just like a 2D picture of the thing that he's trying to hack. It's like a plane, and he presses the part of the image where the door is, and then a red thing comes up and it's like, no. It's like, I can't hack the door, so he spins it around, hacks wing. I can't hack the wing either.
This tends to be, and it's not a
very
it's not a problem,
hacking.
but it's definitely what they can and can't hack constantly changes.
Yes,
depending when Benji has to do that thing where he breaks in as the guy. The only thing that stops him is that he has to match the walk. Until that point, they're like, oh, well, it's easy until then.
Right.
Like, he just uses that thing to hack the combination, and it's like, what is that thing even doing? Which, again, and then you go back to the first one where they're like, they can't do that. It's the exact same thing. It's assume the identity of someone and walk into this place and just download this thing from a computer.
Right. Not this time.
Not this time.
That thing that we specialize doesn't work this time.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 combination lock doors, and they don't know the combinations.
He gets right through them, though.
But he uses a thing that does it for him.
Right. No, what I'm saying is...
What
I'm saying is that they have an ex machina gizmo when they need one. But, like, where was that thing in the first movie? Or does he do a retinal scan in
some fucking movie?
I don't know.
They do it in this one, but
my point is that
to be from the Prime Minister.
And it doesn't matter. It's just that idea of, like...
Oh, my favorite...
It's like they have that key lock thing.
That's my that's my favorite one, because for some reason it decides that it needs to show you a picture of tumblers being unlocked on the screen of this thing. It's like, I don't need that. Like, I don't need a screen showing me that it's unlocking the door.
They also show that multiple people have them.
Yeah, Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg.
Someone's like selling. They go to like conventions where there's like vendors selling this shit. Mm-hmm. It's that got to be it. Right?
Somebody's making it.
And they're like, look, it has a convenient screen on the side that'll show you that you're unlocking the door.
There's another technology/protocol thing that makes me convinced that it would be fucking hell to work for IMF, and it's the scene where he gets his mission. We mentioned it earlier. He goes to a library, says a very long sequence of code words with the record store. I keep calling it a library. It's a record store.
It's a music library.
It's a music library, yeah.
Only you buy it.
A 2-minute conversation of like, what kind of music are you listening to? Jazz. Coltrane? Miles. This guy on drums? That guy played piano. I have that entire sequence, every bit of that is the code word. Then he goes and he takes the record, and he knows I have to first put my hand on the record machine, and it'll scan me. Then I need to put the record in, and then it's going to give me my mission. And that seems like a nightmare because they've used a different trick to give him his mission
every single
movie, and that just means like the same way that when we used to work at a company, you'd get the emails that were like, hey, it's time to update your passwords. You have to update your passwords. He gets an email that is like, all right, memorize. Here's the 19 sequence code words. Yeah. Here's the library that you need to go to.
It's a whole new choreography for each.
Right. It's like, oh, guys, again, I'm 57 years old. Yeah. Just, my door has locks on it. Just like, knock. and like use Jeremy Renner, use a guy I know. Come on.
Send me a familiar face.
It really feels like the other explanation is that it's just this group of people in the government who are like, let's be spies. Like they're just really into it to the point that it's unnecessary.
Right, and that's why, like you said,
Why?
you have all the Senate, all the Congress people. They're like, "What is this?
Yeah,
They're spending $600 million on this."
This woman who works at a record library in Prague. What is? It looks like we're paying her $600,000 a year to mostly be a librarian and memorize some words.
She just sells records to people. Just the nature of commerce in the industry is going to mean that this record store is going to close in about a year.
Yeah. No, they're keeping that thing alive. Yeah,
we're just going to pay. We're paying
I always
rent on
think
it.
about
We're taking a bath on this thing.
How many super spy things do you like? There's the part in the third one where he puts the disposable camera and he's like, take some pictures. Mm-hmm. There's got to be times where spies are like accidentally dense and don't know what that means.
Or somebody buys it first.
Yeah, and then someone buys it and they're like, this fucking camera doesn't work. Like, there's got to be
camera sucks.
Or that like that payphone on the street that like turns into I think Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shit. Like kids are going to be tampering with that. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of upkeep.
What else in this movie?
A lot to maintain.
Ving Rhames, definitely prominent part of the team.
Yeah.
Benji is definitely a prominent part of the team. Benji gets a really good scene in this movie, I think, where because Ethan Hunt is effectively burnt by the government, and he's a wanted criminal, and they think he's crazy. And Peg does a favor for him, and then Ethan Hunt is like, okay, now get out of here. Now go back to your life. And Benji does the whole thing, is like, no.
Yeah.
I work for you. I'm a field agent. I'm your fucking friend, and I like you, and you need my help, and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hunt is just like,
well, all right.
Okay.
This movie is Benji
You're right.
heavy.
I should have done that from the beginning.
Yeah.
It is very Benji heavy.
And it's great. This is when Simon Pegg was like an actor, and they're all like, oh, well, we got a Simon Pegg.
He's got to get bigger in this.
Yeah, and so I liked that arc of like him like at the lie detector, like trying to pretend that he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And then him getting kidnapped at the end and having like and it's all about Benji.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benji.
All about the Benji.
There is some solid. Yeah, none of us are fucking happy about that, but it happened.
Yeah.
We all were gonna say it.
We fell into it.
Yeah, just like that water anus.
Yeah.
His character's introduction in this film is he's sitting at his desk, playing a video game, which we are explicitly shown as Halo 5.
Right.
It's just some really just like egregious product placement where it's like it zooms in on the game and on his desk. It's like, it's Halo 5.
He also like cuts to his regular work screen way too late. Like the supervisor's coming from behind him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and like he should just walk up and be like, we all see.
So, I can see that you're playing Halo on 3 monitors.
Yeah.
Like you can, if you're allowed to arrange your desk however you want, you would turn it. So the hallway part is the part that you can see, and not the part that's behind you.
The placement of his desk is baffling.
It's in the middle of that office. Like everybody can see.
Well, it's in the middle of like a staircase.
Right.
Like it's like right on the edge of like a railing, and then there's it's like, why would you? That's where like the map in the mall goes. That's not where your desk goes.
That's one of those sets, like, and I see it in a lot of shows and movies and stuff. And the idea where someone lives in a house where it's like weird glass walls and stuff, where you're just like, oh, that's clearly like a museum that they like put some couches in. Like it felt like that. It was like some factory space that they like made look like a cool office that would never exist.
Yeah, we need this to be the IMF headquarters.
Yeah.
Speaking of glass walls, really dumb way to catch Solomon Lane at the end of this movie.
They catch him like a raccoon.
Cruise like, jumps down a hole and then I guess rolls out of the way of the box.
Yeah.
And then Solomon jumps down and then like lights up. You're in a fucking
surprise.
Box.
You're in a
fucking
like you're in a shoebox trap.
He's so sad and he's all trapped.
He's trying to shoot. He's still like. He first sees Jeremy Renner and shoots, and it doesn't work because Jeremy Renner's behind glass. And then he sees Ving Rhames, shoots because he hasn't learned yet.
Yeah.
Just keeps shooting every wall of this thing. Then it fills with gas. And then Tom Cruise, strongest man alive, pushes this
fucking thing over.
4-ton coffin
with like 2-inch thick bulletproof glass.
They never vent the gas either.
No,
so it's literally a coffin.
I am imagining they tip him into a truck and just like hollow him off. I'm imagining like 16 hours later, someone opening and be like, "Oh, he's dead." Like
he's been dead for a while.
Poke any holes in this?
Yeah.
There's also, I wanted to get your guys' take on this because I'm surprised the movie dropped it. The MacGuffin again that we're chasing is this information that will put money into the hands of the syndicate. Tom Cruise sees the thing, destroys it. We watch him destroy it completely and delete every trace of it. He is allowed to stay alive because he has convinced Solomon Lane, I am the only person who has seen this, and I have every bank account number memorized. So if you kill me, you get nothing. Do we believe him?
I did.
I thought at some point at the end of the movie, I thought someone was going to be like, are you bluffing or what? And he would either prove that he was bluffing or prove that he wasn't.
Yeah.
But it just never gets brought up again.
This is one of those series, and this is a movie universe thing where someone can give someone a series of like 10 numbers, and they're just like, got it. And then they do. They do. So I feel like in this universe, people have better memories or something.
Well, we're shown, I can't remember if it starts in Mission Impossible. We are shown throughout the series that he has a photographic memory.
Oh, okay.
He draws the bad guy from memory in Ghost Protocol after seeing him briefly in the hallway.
Yeah,
and he does that a couple
few
of times. He draws Lane from memory.
Yeah, when he draws him on his hand.
I think there's another bit of it in Mission Impossible 3, maybe. We're shown he can read lips in MI3, which comes into play later. So I think I just accepted it because I was like, oh, because they've shown us that he has like incredible recall.
Yeah. I want to go back to the box.
The box?
Yeah, because who proposed that idea when they were talking about it? Like, how do we get this guy? And someone must have... Was it just that they were running out of supplies and they're like, well, we have this box. It's
right.
Like, oh, okay, I guess we'll see.
All right, we're trying to... Because it comes after like a fairly chaotic chase.
Yeah.
Like after a big, long fight sequence, and then there's a long chase.
Yeah.
And it seems like Tom Cruise doesn't know where he's going, and then he sees like very serendipitously, oh, fortune favors me. Look, there's a square hole in the ground.
Yeah.
I'll slide right
in
into
this
there.
car dealership.
Hopefully he'll follow me and also go in that hole. Like it really strains credulity that someone would be like, I have a box that is quick close box and roughly, I think I saw a hole in the ground that was roughly the exact dimensions of this clear box I have.
Well, you do
think we could use that for our spy mission?
You do see Ving Rhames working on the box in one shot.
You do?
So that means he was like, "Look, here's the plan. We're gonna build a box," and then they did it. I wish all the other movies from here on is just them trapping the villain in a box every time, being like, "It's so easy. Why didn't we do this before?"
Works every time.
Yeah. I must have missed the Ving Rhames thing, but I like that because I like padding out his resume because I always want to see where someone's like, I thought you were like the van guy. He's like, I did too, but now I make boxes if they need boxes, and sometimes I hack into satellites, I guess. It's not really clear
he's
what my main specialty is.
Sometimes I shoot a grenade launcher
He's
at
like
people.
the key grip. Like he'll do whatever odd job they
worst
need.
Decision they made for Ving Rhames as a spy team was they're in the airport interrogating Ilsa. They have her surrounded in this public spot. Then it's Ving Rhames, fit as a fiddle Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg and Ethan Hunt, and Ilsa, and then Simon Pegg gets captured, and we don't know where he is, so Ethan Hunt and Jeremy Renner are like, we'll go after Benji.
Take off.
Ving, watch Ilsa. And Ving, who's, God help him, 48 years old and like 240 pounds, something like that, and just like looking worse for the wear.
Heavy set man.
Sift through a sea of people at an airport. And Ilsa has enough time to watch him and be like, is that guy coming for me? Oh, he's the only guy coming for me. I've had a lot of time to think about this. He's still struggling. Man, did he stop to get a snack? I'm going to just go. And then she easily runs away.
Yeah, I don't think she runs. I think it's a brisk walk.
Right, she just, like, joins the crowd and leaves. And he's like, she got away.
She got away.
Immediately.
She did it.
Maybe you should have left one of the two Olympians behind to chase after her.
Oh, man.
Not me, the van guy. I really wondered about that. I was like, that stuck out of my mind too. I was like, why did you like you left him behind to to chase the British super spy who we know is also a world-class athlete.
Luther, don't let her get away. I don't know, man. I'm 10 yards away, and that's pretty tall order already.
There's not a fucking thing I can do to stop her from getting away.
It's generally pretty tough for me to get around airports.
He wasn't struggling against, like, it wasn't like a physical match between the two of them. It was just him struggling to get through the crowd.
Just a bunch of people who don't respect him.
A standard crowd at an airport. Oh, what a beautiful sequence. So I think that's enough about Rogue Nation, right?
Yeah, I think. Like,
was there something else?
Well, it's the first time we get. Oh, I want to talk about how much I hate the ending. Solomon Lane becomes so far the first time we've got a repeat villain because he comes up again in the next movie.
He does. Yeah.
The first villain that has been allowed to live. Even though they don't really make a big thing of it, they just put him in a glass,
put him in a box,
coffin full of poison, and put him in a van and drive him away. But he gets to live. I think he's very chilling. It's the introduction to the Syndicate, which is going to be a huge part of the franchise going forward. Really don't like the way the movie actually ends because Alec Baldwin, who this whole time has been trying to shut the IMF down, then goes to Congress once he realizes the IMF is good and is like, I think it's good and we should reinstate it. And then at the end of the movie, it's him and Jeremy Renner walking down the hallway, and Jeremy Renner turns to him and goes, "Welcome to IMF." And they both smirk. And I'm like, the movie ends on these fucking idiots?
Right. Also,
Alec Baldwin was just like a bureaucratic pain in the ass the entire movie. Him reinstating IMF isn't like a bold neck-risking move. He takes credit for everything IMF did.
Yeah.
Because that saves his own ass.
After shitting on them the entire film.
And then just becomes the boss of it, and was like, I wasn't rooting for him. And also Jeremy Renner, like, welcome to IMF. You're just kind of in it, buddy.
Yeah.
It's
you and 3 other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also seems like Alec Baldwin should, at that point, even more so be like, okay, they shot the prime minister with a dart. We need to shut this down. In fact, like, if anything, this whole series teaches us, like, let's not have any of this, because there's a whole the Rogue Nation and the Syndicate are all like ex-spies. The villains are often ex-spies. Like nothing.
Yeah, Tom Cruise
nothing
is
good.
a Rogue Nation.
Yeah, nothing good comes out of the IMF ever. They create more problems than they solve.
Alec Baldwin should be like, look, what I learned is that there are some problems with our intelligence gathering arm, whatever it is. There are definitely holes in our program because a lot of this stuff was missed by the CIA and MI6. The lesson that I am not taking away from this is that we should just rely on Ethan Hunt's hunches.
Yeah.
Because that's
bananas.
Kidnap the prime minister like a national treasure plot. Like,
anytime he gets a specific order from IMF, he's like, fuck you! And like goes on his own like fucking gunslinging mission just on his own.
Yeah.
He is a Rogue Nation.
Yeah, they're very bad.
In fact, it's a direction that I would love the franchise to go, but I know it won't, is make him a bad guy by the end of it. Make him legitimately a bad
that
guy.
crossed my
That's
mind.
what I really want to happen.
Because they keep shitting on him.
Yeah.
Like they keep anytime somebody suggests that he is has flipped and has become a bad guy, they always buy it. They're like, Ethan's got to be brought down. It's
and
like,
I buy it too. Like when they do it, we can segue right into Fallout. Henry Cavill is like, this is a guy who's been like burned by his own people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
When do you think that he's going to snap? I would be like, yeah, I'd say around 57, 58 years old. I'd say right about now sounds good. That's
around close to
You're
retirement.
not like doing a villainous thing. You're being very reasonable.
Yeah.
You convinced me.
He's going to John Voight. Yeah. The next time they reboot with a new actor, it'll be old Tom Cruise.
They need to do
wearing goggles on a train.
Yeah.
It's a smushed by a helicopter.
Yeah.
It's a shame Tom Cruise won't allow that to happen because he doesn't. No one's ever explained to him how time works.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just starts the day staring into the mirror and wills time to stop, to get its claws off of him.
Yeah. Fallout.
Oh man! Finally, a Fallout. It's great. It was a delightful film.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've already talked about this, but Henry Cavill getting struck by lightning.
Henry Cavill getting
hilarious.
struck by lightning
really, really good.
Is the greatest part of probably any movie I've seen this year.
Yeah.
Just because he's like, fuck you, and jumps out. It's like, what are you afraid of little lightning? Immediately gets struck by lightning.
Which is
throws his whole plan into jeopardy.
It's my favorite thing because any of those tough guy lines needs to get questioned more in movies. When you're jumping out of a plane at night and it's scary and there's lightning, it's okay if you're like, hold on, let's think about this. It's strange to be like, what are you afraid of, a little lightning? When it's like,
yes,
it's not someone who's afraid of the dark in their house. Like, what are you afraid of, ghosts? You're jumping into lightning.
Yeah.
Yes, I am afraid of lightning right now.
Yeah, we're skydiving into a storm, bro. Right. Yeah, lightning's at the top of my things to be afraid of list.
Normally, I'm not. I'm not like some coward or anything like that. But in this specific situation, yeah, it's
we're jumping
more scared of this than heart disease right now.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's still so. And I think it's because of that, because movies never address it. It felt to me like the equivalent of if they're like Ethan Hunt in the first one was dangling down and like trying to hack the thing, and then he just got attacked by a bear.
Yeah,
like it's so out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that it's so delightful that it just screeching halt. Everything comes to a halt. Like, oh, we have to address the lightning.
Like, I know that Ethan Hunt is a good guy and he knows what the plan is, but they've done nothing but clash since Jump. They've been at each other's throats since the beginning. So if I'm Ethan Hunt and this guy is being a prick and then he gets struck by lightning, I just land my fucking parachute and I call the CAA and I'm like, look, I'm real sorry. He acted like a dick, jumped into lightning, got struck by lightning, and I guess he's fucking dead now.
Yeah.
So it's just me and my team again.
Movie solved. Yeah,
Can you
I
imagine
said this on the
they
other.
got to the end of the movie. I was like, so it turns out this John Lark guy was Hank.
Yeah,
and he's been dead for like a week.
Yeah, we're still cleaning him up.
The CIA knows. Angela Bassett knows what he is. So if he calls and was like, yeah, he jumped out of. I told him not to, but he jumped out of a plane, got struck by lightning. She'd be like, yeah, he's like that.
Yeah,
we've had problems like this before,
Yeah.
where he just runs out into the zoo, like, what are you afraid of, a couple of lions, and then he gets attacked by lions.
That was the thing. I said this on the other podcast. Is I thought they were legitimately creating a new comic relief when that happened, because I was like, oh, what an interesting twist. Like in the trailer, he looks like he's a tough guy, but he's going to be funny.
Yeah,
they do have him do dumb tough guy things for the entirety that he's actually on Ethan's team, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like the whole bathroom fight, which is great, and I wish it lasted 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Is he keeps fucking things up just by being like the swole ass guy who just wants to punch things.
I
like,
mean,
things up with the briefcase that happens to contain the computer.
Yes.
His first move after Tom Cruise drops the knockout syringe is to pick up the incredibly valuable briefcase they need and smash it on that guy's head.
He is a little out of it, considering that he was just struck by lightning.
Yeah,
they should have, like, the moment they landed, it should have been him like, I need help. I need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I'm in real trouble. I'm in real trouble. I feel my heart's beating way too fast. It's beating way too fast.
Another big, strong, dumb guy thing that he does in that amazing fight. Someone pointed out on Twitter when the trailer came out. They said my favorite thing about the trailer is when Henry Cavill cocks his fist when he's ready for a fight.
So good.
It's so good. Oh, that fight.
It's such a good fight. Like, and they give their opponent a nice hero moment when they're both pretty knocked out and like got the shit kicked out of him. The hero like stands like an awesome guy and adjusts his tie or adjusts his suit in some way. People in my audience clapped. We were like, we're team this guy now.
Yeah.
Like he just fucking wasted Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah,
He
and
pulls
he looked
up
great doing it
out from under the sink and starts wailing on them.
And again, we talked about this the other podcast. Like, did he know? Because Henry Cavill's the guy who hired that guy.
Yeah.
Did he know that guy could like fight? Like, is that just the guy like was taking night classes or something and no one knew? And
He
then
had no fucking clue. This guy is like an MMA champion.
yeah.
He just on the weekends he just gets into like fights in the alley and wins tons of money.
Oh shit! Quickly, I guess I want to point something out about the jump. That's the other case of the holding the breath, because that's a real Halo jump that Tom Cruise did, but it's augmented with all that CGI. So it's like, well, why do it in the first place? I do want to point out that according to behind the scenes, it's the people who jumped out is Tom Cruise and a stuntman for Henry Cavill, which we talked about in the previous we just watched of like, you think he got Cavill to do it? Like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Either Cavill wanted to do it and Tom Cruise was like, only I get to do stunts. or more likely Henry Cavill was like, no, I'm good.
I feel like it's more likely that
Tom Cruise is like, you want to get in on this, bro?
The
He's
rest
like,
of the
"No."
producers, because Tom Cruise gets to do it because Tom Cruise is the producer of the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Like normally the producer would be like, no, we're getting a stunt person to
Yeah.
do this.
He jumped from 25,000 feet, which is high.
That's insane. You can
Yeah.
see the curvature of the earth.
Yep. And then the breathing apparatus stuff was real, but they had to design it like to look super spy too, which seems like a stressful job of like,
Yeah.
we need you to design something that's aesthetically what we want, but doesn't exist. And it's like, man, just use a fucking oxygen tank.
I'm glad it made it into the movie because because it sounds very expensive. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I learned in the behind the scenes was McQuarrie was talking about how, me and Cruise, we both had a couple of things that we definitely wanted in the movie, and we shot them, and then some of them just didn't make it. So they're just like fun stunts when the script is just 30
35
pages. They're just like, I want to do a thing where I jump 25,000 feet into a lightning storm, and I also want to do this thing where like I have to fight an octopus. All right, we filmed it.
Yeah.
Octopus bit didn't play. We had to put some plot in between the stuff, and so there was no room for all the
octopus.
weird action stuff that we shot first.
They might use that stuff because I don't know if this is the same interview. The interview I was reading, he also said he's talked about cutting a lot. There was a lot where it was supposed to get darker, like Tom Cruise playing the evil guy.
Yeah.
They're gonna be what's his name?
John Lark.
John Lark. He was supposed to do like a lot more dark shit, and the interview asked him like what kind of stuff, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you because we'll probably reuse it in the next. So I bet it's like that where they film the stunts and they're like, next one,
We'll do that
next
again.
one,
Next one.
I'm afraid to say anything because I haven't seen the movie yet, and I'm not exactly sure what we ended up making. So once we see it,
Don't really know what it is.
once I know what the movie is, then I'll tell you.
Yeah.
This movie, plot-wise, is
I think it's involved, but it's still pretty clear to me.
it's pretty
that
straightforward.
the syndicate stole a bunch of bomb stuff so they can make bombs and also get Lane out of jail and
Right.
presumably get lots of money. In the process, they were going to frame Ethan Hunt as the guy responsible for some of these crimes.
Yeah.
But Ethan Hunt figured that out and then lured the bad CIA guy and Solomon Lane all into the same place.
Yeah, it's a weird
Their sewer
collision
hideout.
because there's two different bad guys.
Yes.
Because you have the Syndicate and Solomon Lane, which have their goal, and then you have Henry Cable, who's just
Isn't he like
covering the
maniac.
CIA.
Yeah, he's like
the Apostles.
Yeah.
He's his own thing. What we find out is that Cable made he's buying the plutonium cores from Lane, and the price that the Syndicate wanted was free Lane and also frame Ethan Hunt.
Yes.
this is their Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's like two organizations getting together and
Yeah.
being like, let's make this together.
Yeah,
These are my demands, here are mine. Okay, let's do this. That's all.
And Lane's
It's a
main
joint
thing
venture.
is torturing Ethan Hunt.
Yes.
That's his primary motivation, which is why this is the plots of these movies don't matter because where you end up at the end was always the plan no matter what. He lures Ethan and the two primary women in his life, Michelle Monaghan and Ilsa Faust, to the same place
Yeah.
where he's going to let them all die together by
Right.
bombs.
I imagine. Sorry, what's his name? Lane.
yeah.
I'm imagining them asking him like, "You just want revenge?" And he's like, "You put me in a fucking box."
Yeah.
Put me in a
Put
box.
me in a box.
I had to shit
and
in a
filled,
box.
filled with smoke, and then
Yeah.
I was half conscious for it. But he tipped the fucking box
Yeah.
over. He didn't need to do that, but he just pushed it, and I fell and I hit my head. And I lost my
really
glasses and I
hurt.
grew this stupid beard.
Oh man.
There's
the
so much.
the
I guess there's not that much.
I don't know. It's
pretty great.
it's kind of the combination of all the shit from the previous movies
Yeah.
in one package, because it's like, okay, yeah, once again, Ethan Hunt is wanted by his own people.
Right, and once again, we've got like the boss character who we're not quite sure about, and Angela Bassett.
Yeah, the good guy who turns evil.
Yeah.
The bad guys who just want to destabilize and blow everything up. It's a little bit of
MacGuffins
everything.
to chase. You're still chasing
Yeah.
a thing. There's
Yeah.
still a lot of hacking. There's one of the things that they add in this movie that I love is what was her code name? White Woman?
White Widow.
White Widow. The horniest fucking person that's ever been in a Mission Impossible movie. She's so wet and horny this whole movie, and I'm so happy. I loved her. I thought every minute she was on screen, she was just chewing scenery and being horny, and I don't care what her allegiance is. I'm not totally clear on it.
It was a little confusing.
I think she's ultimately a good guy.
Yeah.
But
anything to get her to mouth kiss, like, people, I feel like. Doesn't she do that to Ethan? She gives him one?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Doesn't she give him one?
Nobody smooches Ethan.
What movie am I thinking, or which movie am I thinking of? Someone... Man, maybe this is like another movie I just watched. Maybe this is
Nobody
RoboCop
fucking
3.
mouth kisses Ethan in this movie.
No.
Nobody mouth kisses Ethan in this movie?
Nope.
Oh, that's
Nor
a
in the
shame.
last one.
He's got his tension with Ilsa, and he sees his wife, and he's sad because she's married to
Wes Bentley.
living vampire Wes Bentley.
Pops in like we don't fucking know it's him.
Wait,
Like the last time we saw him, he didn't drown in space.
I'm staying on this mouth kissing thing.
Nobody
the part
mouth
where they're
kisses
by the
Ethan.
water and like they go their separate ways because he knocks the thing into the water and he does it. A different
He breaks
way.
out Lane.
Yeah, and then they're talking afterwards where he's like, I didn't trust you to do it the way your brother. She doesn't mouth kiss him in that scene.
No.
I don't
I
think
didn't
so.
make it up.
No.
What was going on in my head?
You're thinking about mouth.
Maybe
kiss?
I was just
just
like
like-
mouth kiss
She
him.
is just like, on hot days you can see steam and stuff. Her horniness is just playing tricks on you.
Right.
She's so
created a mouth
amped.
kissing
Right.
barrage for you. When she whips out that butterfly knife and just starts stabbing people,
Stabs you in the fucking heart.
stabs the shit out of that dude, stabs the other guy in the face.
That's one of those things. It happens in multiple movies and I always enjoy it where one person is like holding a bad guy and then someone else like thanks and just murders
kills him,
and
yeah.
the first person's like, oh Christ, I just became an accomplice.
Yeah. Man. I think by the end we're supposed to understand that she's working for the CIA.
She reminded me. She was like Max, or like in
I think
Ghost Protocol. There's that in between guy. Like they always
mention
have.
Max. Like she says her mother's name was Max. So
There
I think
you go.
are we supposed to think that it's the Max from the first one?
I
Probably.
bet.
Max
There's
was also
also-
pretty horny.
Yeah,
She
there's also
was.
the henchman. I think
Vanessa Redgrave.
in Ghost Protocol, he has to do the Dunhill thing again, and it's the same looking henchman. Because in the first one, he has to buy a pack of Dunhills and go to that guy who looks like one of the lone gunmen from the X-Files.
Yeah, the guy with long hair.
And ask for a match, and then they kidnap him. And then I think in Ghost Protocol, he has to see a guy flicking a Dunhill lighter, and then he goes back, and it's the same looking guy with the long blonde hair, and he puts the same thing over him to meet with the arms dealer guy.
Yeah,
the same ski mask. So clearly, like Max has some sort of organization
Yeah.
that's like kind of neutral that he keeps going to.
Yeah.
They just like selling weapons, man.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she's like kind of a Robin Hood thing where she's works with some bad people, but ultimately is on the right side of justice and history. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. I
I'm
think
fine with her being part of the franchise
Just
and just horning it up for
Yeah.
it's just a war profiteer.
Yeah.
I like the gray areas that, like, again, in the first one they do, and they do in some of them where it's like there's people who are not, they just like leave alone because they're not doing something
Right.
too terrible, so they
Right,
just
it's
work
one of
with
those
them.
things that Ethan Hunt could just be like, there's normal government will come after you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm spy government.
I'm not
I do
needed
other
for
things.
this. Yeah. It's the reason that the FBI doesn't investigate like burglaries.
Correct me if I'm wrong about this.
Okay.
Ving is talking to Ilsa,
Yes.
and he says there's only 2 women that Ethan has ever cared about.
Oh, the dumbest scene in the movie. Go on.
And she says who? And he says one of them is Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah.
Does he? Am I crazy, or does he never say who the second person is?
He kind of does.
He does?
He says like he would never tell you how much he actually cares about you or something. It's a real
What about Bomb Face Lady?
bomb face lady.
Mission Impossible 3. She's Bomb Face Lady who he trained.
Well, she's
Carrie Russell?
She's dead.
Oh,
yeah, but he
brain
cared
death?
about
Yeah.
her, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's talking about
Like
currently
alive?
living people.
Okay. So there were 3. There were 3, and now there's 2.
Yeah, now there's 2. Now there's only he only has so much room for women he can care about.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just Ving Rhames vomiting out exposition. It reminded me of the parts in the last Fast and Furious that Paul Walker was in when they had to Frankenstein his dead ass in there. And so much of it was like footage that they had of Paul Walker like standing by a car or something, and then they had to have Vin Diesel and Oh, I forgot her name.
Michelle Rodriguez?
No, other one. The lady who plays Vin Diesel's sister, who is married to Paul Walker in it.
Oh, shit.
God damn it. What's her
I
name?
don't know, man.
Anyways, I'm really bummed because I normally know this actress's name. Where they have to basically explain what's going through Paul Walker's head because they didn't film him saying any lines.
Him smiling on the set of a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's really conflicted. He doesn't want to leave his family behind and do all this, but you guys are also his family, so he has to go out and do this. Like they're explaining his emotions and motivation to us. And I understand in that movie because he's dead and you can't get him to film any more scenes, but they could have had Tom Cruise in that scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Why did we need a third party to explain how he felt?
Maybe he was busy with a broken leg or something. Right. Maybe that was when.
Yeah.
Watching them again, the Ving Rhames' arc makes me really sad. He's just a guy who got caught up on this, and now, especially these last two movies, he is such an Ethan Hunt fanboy in a way that is like really troubling for me. Like when the government is yelling at him in Rogue Nation, and they're like, he's one man, and he's like, sometimes he is the only man who knows the only right thing to do. It's like, okay, you go to therapy now because like, you can't feel that way about a person. You can't.
Well, they have that
love this man more than your government.
They have this real embarrassing thing that Alec Baldwin says in the second one, where he like says like Ethan Hunt is pure destiny.
Yes, that's pure destiny. Watching it again this time, I thought he was going to be the person.
I thought he was
going to
be Ethan. Yeah,
I thought there was going to be a gag like that, and it was like, nope. That's
Ethan just rips his mask. I was like, thanks for blowing me for 15 seconds
it really
there.
Was like, he is pure destiny manifested, and between you and me, that cock boy, 9 feet long,
can't get enough of it. Jordana Brewster is that actually just
there we go.
From Fast Furious.
Maybe did Ving Rhames see him do that sweet close-up magic?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe he's just maybe he's just like he's fucking magic.
Yeah.
Like
he thinks he thinks Ethan's an actual wizard.
Yeah.
Because remember he tries to recreate the sleight of hand thing.
I love
this movie,
scene so much.
Yeah, it's good.
I love young cocky Tom Cruise so much more than I like aging and slightly tired.
Oh yeah,
Tom Cruise.
Right. That scene.
Has everybody seen The Color of Money?
Yeah.
That's young cocky Tom Cruise.
That's the best Tom
peak.
Cruise there's ever been.
Yeah, he has the shirt. This is Vince on it. It's so fucking good.
I love that scene in the first movie where he goes to meet Max for the first time, and she pulls his mask off. He's like, "I want $150,000 today."
Yeah,
and he's just smiling at her, and she's like, "What the fuck makes you think I'm going to do that?" She's like, "Oh, you give Job 125."
Yeah, his smile doesn't have the same effect now. As it did. But there is a thing he's added in the later Mission Impossibles that he couldn't really do in the first few, which is that some mix between shrug and like, "Hey, what are you going to do?" Like this very specific
weariness
when he's in.
Oh yeah.
When he's in the plane in Rogue Nation, and the guy, like in the first scene, and the guy comes out and sees him like strapping himself to a bomb with a parachute on it, and the guy's looking at him like, "What's step 2 of this plan?" And Tom Cruise does that like,
yeah,
it's a living, and he pulls the ripcord and launches himself into the sky. With a bomb.
Fucking space.
Just that face he does, where it's like, guess I'm jumping off this cliff. And he just does it.
Yeah, there's it's the weariness. I think he does less of the cocky Tom Cruise because I think he realizes he's not in his 30s anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
But like when he's climbing on the outside of the hotel and Jeremy Renner's like, "Your line's not long enough." It's like, "No shit."
Yeah.
And after he drowns, and he tries to like Dukes of Hazzard over the car and just falls on his face.
The top 2 of my favorite funny things in Rogue Nation are that scene because it starts with like he's in the alleyway and he doesn't know where to go to find Ilsa, and he just like takes a second and then just points
at the car. He's like,
points
the car
forward, and then runs at it and smashes into it and slides across the hood. The other funny moment in that movie to me that seemed almost like an ad-lib, it's even though it can't be, he's motorcycling around, nudges another motorcycle, just like shoulders it so it tips and falls, which is what he's just trying to do, just like knock these guys down. And the thing keeps going and spins, crashes into a railing, and explodes. And he looks back at it like,
ooh, oh shit!
Fuck, that was not my plan.
There's a brief shot when he's doing the motorcycle where he does the lean and his leg actually touches the ground.
Really?
Yeah. So you see him recover. He's like, "Oh shit!" Like he pulls his leg.
That's probably the scariest stuff because I know in this new one, the motorcycle stuff, it's just Tom Cruise doing that shit. Like
Yeah.
it's very rarely a stuntman.
Rogue
and he's
Nation
just,
too.
Yeah.
Not wearing a helmet because otherwise you couldn't see it's Tom.
Yeah, with him and just a bunch of stunt drivers. And
Yeah.
it's just making everybody real nervous.
Yeah.
Right.
He made me. That was like the most anxious I felt for him in Fallout was during the motorcycle chase in Paris.
Yeah.
It was just he's going so fucking fast.
So fucking fast. Slow down,
and it's
Tom.
just like you're 57.
Yeah.
Man.
Just lie to us. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell me that you played every single one of the people in helmets, and I would believe you. We would both go to our graves believing that Tom Cruise did that shit. That could be like a shared global secret, a shared lie that we all keep, and we're fine with.
There's a lot of good shit. In
Yeah.
Fallout.
There is, yeah.
The helicopter chase is incredible.
The other
Helicopter
thing
is insane.
Yeah.
And it's just because, like, I learned how to fly a helicopter, so now we need to make a movie about
Yeah.
it. It's like,
And not just for the fact that he's flying it,
he's
just
doing
the way
like
that it's
stunt flying too. Like they were close. They were.
there was some shit in there.
Yeah.
And it's not just because it's like, oh wow, he's really flying this helicopter. It's just the way that it's staged and paced. Like it's a good chase, and I've
really
never
is.
seen a helicopter chase like that.
Yeah.
Where it ends with him just fucking crashing into the other helicopter. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck it.
In a way that felt inevitable. It's insane
Yeah.
because, like, you're in the exposed world and you have the whole sky, but it's just a good pacing and a good handle on the geography of the action. And I was like, yeah, they have to collide now. Like this is they're being funneled into this space, and this is how it has to end. This is how it has to go.
They
Loved it.
Yeah, it's great.
This movie more than the others because it's in the others. Like, but this movie really is a series of calamities.
Yeah.
And and that's like the kind of the theme. You know, like
That's
it's,
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it's the idea of we're barely doing everything, but it's almost comical in this one where it's literally from that sky jump where it's like struck by lightning,
Yeah.
beat up in the bathroom.
Everything goes wrong.
Everything keeps going wrong. They do the Paris chase and they open the thing, the cops there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it just keeps going so fucking wrong to the point that he's just like, fuck it, and crashing a helicopter into another.
Yeah.
Also, strange thing they did. Henry Cavill's death was strange to me. Like, it started with that burning
So
oil that,
graphic.
like, melts his face, and I was like, Mission Impossible doesn't do that.
They
That's
tortured
not-
him.
We don't make like our villains look ugly.
Yeah.
This isn't Bond
This
where we
isn't
give
Batman.
them some weird thing.
Yeah.
And then gets a fucking hook in his fucking head
And
and
it-
falls off a cliff.
Again, series
And
of
you
calamities. Like,
watch-
he's just accident
you
prone.
see his body just spiral down, bounce like in a pop of
Yeah.
blood, and then
Yeah.
spin off into the exploding helicopter. It's like Jesus.
You know what they should have done is when he got struck by lightning, giving him like a burn,
Yeah.
and then like later he gets like a cut, and then later he like loses an eye, and they just keep escalating it because that last sequence they just really fuck him
Dump
up.
a whole lot
throw
on
it all there.
old
Yeah.
Hank.
They make it very clear that, like, listen, you're probably not going to make it out of this, but if you do, everyone's going to know you're evil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of Henry Cavill's face, I think probably my favorite behind the scenes thing is they didn't really care that much about the mustache. Like, it was really more of a misunderstanding. The version of this that we got first was that Justice League had to CGI his mustache off for a scene in the Justice League movie, and everyone can tell because he looks ridiculous. And
Is it,
Yeah.
is it
mouthed
the
strange.
opening with the kids? Because that's
There's
where
a
he looks
few
the strangest.
shots.
It's the one
Yeah.
where he fights the Justice League when he comes back and he's like, "Do you bleed?" And his whole upper lip looks like
It's not
trash.
moving, yeah.
They did that, and we all laughed about it and
We
dunked
did.
on it. And the reporting at the time seemed to be like, well, it was reshoots. He was doing this Mission Impossible movie, and they needed the mustache for the Mission Impossible movie. So DC had to pay the price for that. And reading Christopher McQuarrie talk about it, they're like, why was the mustache so important? It's like, it wasn't really. It's a shame. It just he had a beard, and then he shaved it down to a mustache, and he was like, what do you guys think about this? We said, sure. And then DC was like, we need him to shave his mustache. And we looked into how long that would take for him to grow it back, or how much it would cost to
Reshoot everything they'd already filmed.
reshoot it, or like do a CGI mustache, which we didn't want to do.
yeah.
And we realized it was like $3.5 million. So we were like, all right, he can shave it. You guys just pay us $3.5 million and we'll like take a break while he grows it back. And DC was like, no, we're not going to do that. And then they shot it and did that stupid CGI thing.
Yeah, that sounds
And
about
then,
right.
Tom Cruise broke his leg the next day. And McQuarrie was like, oh, damn.
Not
We were
shooting
shut down for 6 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. And I was
That's
like,
fucking
like
great.
he's so, it's not fun to him. He's very regretful about it. I was like, yeah, it was like, The mustache doesn't mean anything.
I never pinned the blame on Mission Impossible. I always thought it was DC being it's that thing of like he's contractually obligated to Mission Impossible at that point, and so it was just like he's going to have the mustache.
They're also in the middle of shooting. They can't suddenly have him.
It's DC's fault that they weren't fucking done with the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's their fault that they were doing reshoots at fucking 0 hour.
Yeah.
Like they had already filmed enough of Mission Impossible where they had to sit down and fix like, okay, fuck, like what if his mustache suddenly disappears? What does that mean? Like we have to go back and reshoot all this shit we already did. So it's like
I just love how casual it was born. When we've been hearing about this mustache for so long, and I had it in my head that it was like somehow a load-bearing mustache or something. It was like, no, just Henry Cavill was like, what do you think for the character? I'm like, yeah,
sure,
whatever.
I mean, it's worth every cent.
Yeah, it really was.
I fucking love Henry Cavill in this movie.
This is weird.
I like him a lot too, even though he's he's a huge prick in real life that we should probably.
Oh really?
I'm hoping he's just a dummy.
I think that might be it. Yeah. He's recently, I haven't looked into this enough, but the thing that came out recently was his very boneheaded, it's hard to flirt with women because I don't want them to think I'm raping them or whatever. And it's like, you're flirting wrong, Henry.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I'm scared. The Me Too is making me scared to flirt with people.
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation, but everybody who says that, it's just like, you probably doing it wrong.
People on Twitter... This is the thing that I haven't looked into, because people on Twitter were like, when they were retweeting this information, they were like, yeah, isn't he also the guy who was dating like a 19-year-old last week?
No.
Like, okay, I'll put a pin in that, and I'll look into it later to see just what level of creep he is.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about his face. I didn't want to bring this up, but I have to. Is that I find a striking resemblance to him and Robert Evans' cat that I'm cat sitting.
Okay, I'm going to check out.
They have the same blank eyes, and the cat looks like it kind of has a mustache. So when we were watching Fallout, I was like, that looks kind of like the cat. That's all. I wasn't.
That's insane.
I was going to bring this up,
but you said like I had to bring this up.
Well, we were talking about his face. I wasn't going to bring it up because I was like, Dave, that's dumb.
No,
but why not?
Oh, when the hell has that ever stopped you from saying anything?
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's very true. Oh yeah. I wanted to talk. Yeah, I like the I wish I didn't put in the link. The interview with Tom Cruise about breaking his foot or his ankle or whatever. It was definitely a producer moment. It sounded like, because he made the jump, and I think. All right, do you know? Was he supposed to make the jump? I heard
the jump out of the window.
No,
it's from one building to
another.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's a jump right before that.
I'm not certain about this. Is that maybe I think he was originally supposed to just make the jump and he missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like talking about how he landed it, and just the thought of his mind was just like, oh, everybody's gonna have to go home. Like that producer brain of like, oh, I just cost us a lot of money, and like got up and tried to finish the shot, and you see him limping, and then just him being like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're shut down. We're shut down immediately. I have just broken something.
Yeah.
Homer Simpson eating 5 pounds of spaghetti in a bar, and then just going, hospital, please. Instantly knowing.
Yeah. It's like...
Oh, yeah, the foot chase is so good, too.
Yeah. It's hard to do a good foot chase, I think.
One pulls it off. This is my favorite foot chase in any of the movies. Yeah.
I didn't like the rope hanging Benji sequence. I think hanging really affects me as a thing to see.
Oh, yeah.
I don't...
It was
There's nothing in my history that I am aware of that I haven't blacked out that would make that particularly triggering for me. Like, I don't have a personal attachment to it, but I see it and I get very uncomfortable.
I think in that way it was effective because it was real vicious.
Yes.
It's like you take the character that is the most endearing to all of us, and then you have this villain just fucking hang him.
I think it's a good action set piece that is darker than I feel like filmmakers like it to be, because they're doing the thing where they're kicking the thing under his feet,
right,
and stuff. Like it can
they make
be
it kind of a Pirates of the Caribbean type set piece.
Yeah,
it's a little bit wacky.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's someone fucking slowly strangling to death.
I mean, this one was definitely darker.
It was darker.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah. We talked about this on the other one, but like, I still don't get why they needed the 2 nukes in the one place. It feels like if you're gonna get 2 nukes, save your money.
Yeah.
Just use one nuke.
Spread them out.
Yeah.
Great use of masks in this one. I like both of the fun reveals with masks.
Blitzer.
The Wolf Blitzer one, I like that device. That's the kind of shit that
Wolf
like
Blitzer.
because they did something sort of like that in MI3 as well, where they use the masks to, or no, it's the first Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Where they use the masks to just set up a completely fake world for something.
Yeah.
That's the kind of
There's
IMF shit that I want more of.
Yeah, it was
like,
cool.
You don't have to run and chase, and it's just like, what's an elaborate way that we could trick this person?
I think
This will be fun. Let's do this.
I think Ralph McQuarrie was it
Christopher McQuarrie.
Christopher McQuarrie refers to it, I think, as a mousetrap or something like that. Like it was a specific term for that because it is in a few Mission Impossibles where they set someone up in a specific scenario that they think they Truman Show them.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Alec Baldwin does a fist fight in this movie
with Henry Cavill.
Yes, and then he fucking dies.
That is the least realistic scene in the entire movie.
It's another John Lithgow versus Stallone and cliffhanger moment, where it's just like, I don't believe for a second you're evenly matched.
Yeah,
with
right,
this
like when they had Phil Hoffman fight Tom Cruise, let's like half paralyze Tom Cruise.
Right.
Let's give him a constant electrical heart attack.
Yeah,
that'll even the playing field a little bit. But with Alec Baldwin and Henry Cavill, no, just like, Alec, you got this, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen videos of people throwing punches before.
Although I can't stress enough, Henry Cavill has been struck by lightning.
It's been a few days at this point.
It doesn't matter. That should affect him throughout the entire movie.
He should just randomly scream.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That is not something you can just shake off.
The fact that he's not talking about it is also very troubling. Like after the mission, like during one of the pauses, while they're just like taking their boots off, Tom Cruise should have been like, "So do you want to talk about what happened? Is there anything? You were like dead in the sky for a while."
They seem to imply.
He saw his grandparents.
Right. They seem to imply that, and this is how I'm going to remember it in my own headcanon, that he doesn't remember being struck by lightning.
And
because
Tom
when he
Cruise
lands,
seemed to have told him.
When he lands on the roof, he's like, "Did you lose your oxygen, Ethan?" It's like,
yeah,
you were fucking dead.
And it's a really irresponsible for Ethan to not tell him.
Yeah.
Right. That's something you tell someone like, "Look, you really need to go to a doctor."
Probably lost they needed to have a scene where he just kind of sits down and he's like, "I've lost long gaps of time."
And I just keep crying for some reason.
He just has them like explain to him what they've just done for the past 3 hours. He doesn't remember any of it.
Oh, shit.
My phone doesn't work. My hair is falling out, and I can't seem to remember how we got in this room.
What if he wasn't John Lark until after he got struck by lightning? Like he just assumed the role of that guy.
Oh man.
Angela Bassett was like, "Do you really think Ethan Hunt could be John Lark?" Is that what I said? Then yeah, I stand by that.
I stand by it. I am a man of integrity and sharp memory.
And that's why my name is John Lark.
Like sneaks a look at his badge. Oh man! So we have talked for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, and now it's time to get into the ranking.
The ranking.
Oh yeah, let's rank these films.
Okay, so who wants to start? Should we go around
very quickly with all of mine? And it's easy because I think they're very flexible. I think the worst one is very clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
My best one is pretty clear to me. The rest of them are very tight. That like I could see this order changing. My from worst to best, MI2.
Yep.
Even looking at this now, I disagree with myself. Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, Mission Impossible, MI3, and Fallout as my number one. But like the 4 in the middle, I can easily swap. Like
pretty shuffleable, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a drastically different combination. I'm going to do from best to worst.
Okay.
Mission Impossible. The first one. Then I'm going to go with Rogue Nation, Fallout 3, Ghost Protocol, and then 2.
Damn.
Yep.
Ghost Protocol's my number one.
Well, it's because of this conversation I realized that there's nothing to Ghost Protocol, plot-wise.
Rogue Nation has grown in my esteem in this conversation, and I might put it above.
Same here.
I want to put it like in front of Ghost Protocol, but if I do that, Ghost Protocol becomes the second to worst, and that doesn't seem right. Like, none of these should be the second to worst.
That was my decision too, because I don't hate Ghost Protocol, but I like Rogue Nation more. Tom, you should give your list.
Man, I really like Ghost Protocol. My favorites. It's hard to rank my absolute number one because it is pretty tight. It's such a crush in the middle there. But my top 3 are definitely Ghost Protocol, the first one, and Fallout.
Right.
Then I didn't remember liking Mission Impossible 3 at all, but it's pretty solid.
Philip
Although
Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
he's so fucking good.
so good.
I would put Rogue Nation ahead of it, though. I think Rogue Nation is better than MI3.
Yeah, I agree.
So obviously the last one would be MI2, which is a fucking terrible movie.
I think for all these we can say that how many are there? 6?
6.
5 of them are in like top 90%, and they're all like sort of close. And then we have Mission Impossible 2, which is like down in the 40%. I guess I don't know what this percent is. Rotten Tomatoes score of our brains.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah, but you get the point. Is that one is just way worse than the rest, and the rest are kind of like neck and neck. At least in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me,
that's how I feel too.
It's Fallout has grown in my esteem.
Yeah.
In this conversation, and just like remembering back to it, and also after having just come off of watching all of them in a row, it's
right.
Like, Fallout's pretty good.
I'm gonna retract that a little bit and say that for me, at least, Mission Impossible, the first one, is far ahead.
It's really good.
This will be like it'll sound strange because Mission Impossible was third on this list, but could also very easily be number 1. And like, there's a part of me that just wanted to be like, it's the first one, and it did it so well, and it set up so much of what makes this franchise fun and iconic, and
yet it's
was so surprising and so different.
Yeah, it's almost as if you can't rank them, because like I watched Mission Impossible 1 for an extremely different reason than I watched the other ones.
Yeah,
it's just two different things I'm getting out of these movies.
Yeah, same for me. Like, my top 3 are pretty fluid. Like, like I said, Ghost Protocol, but like Fallout or Mission Impossible 1 could easily be number 1 for me. It's so good, man. It's you, Tom Cruise.
And again, like we talked about this earlier, but as I was putting this rank together, really thinking about this franchise, I'm like, is this one of my fucking favorite movie franchises of all time? Because I almost never think about it. But like, man, it's been really good to me. They made one clunker.
Yeah.
And then 5 great movies.
One real dump truck of a movie.
It's just always been there for us.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier in this recording, like I had only watched all of them once.
Yeah.
Like I watched them one and went done with it. But then, like going back to it, I'm like, this is a really strong series of films.
Yes.
And it's also like there's so much sequel fatigue, but I watched Fallout and was like, I'll take a new one of these every other month or so.
I think part of it
keep making these movies.
Yeah, but there's so much time in between each sequel.
Right.
I think that helps.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a good thing. Like if they start trying to Star Wars these, that's when you'd see a decline, I imagine.
Oh yeah, because you just run out of things to do.
Right. It still feels weird that they spend so much time in between films, but still only have 30-page scripts. Oh. They have plenty of time to write those.
What's the behind the scenes on why Jeremy Renner wasn't in this movie? Was he busy? Was he making Winds River?
I heard he was like had
Infinity
other
War?
obligations to like Marvel, which doesn't make any sense because he's not in the last Marvel.
Maybe
films.
he's in. They filmed them both at the same time.
Might have been in
Maybe he's
Infinity War Part
that
2.
would make sense. He better be in part 2. He
I
better
assume
show up somewhere.
He's a glaring omission from the first one.
They did a bunch of promotional photos when the first one was coming out, and he's in there with a different haircut. So like, they definitely made him put makeup on and take a picture.
He had a 3-picture deal. Is that
for Mission Impossible?
Yeah, that was. Well, hold on. He only did 2 though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel like
he must have
at least been a cameo. Like they could have thrown something that was
okay.
Ethan calls and he's like, "Look, I really can't bail you out right now, buddy, but you know who you should talk to? We call her the White Horn. This the
White
horny arms dealer."
Going back to talking about why he's hasn't worked out of being a good actor. Maybe he's just a jerk. Maybe he's a jerk.
Possible.
Maybe they were like, you know what, you're all set. We're all set with you.
We got
Tom
we
Cruise.
Yeah.
Let's bring this guy Henry Cavill. And then Henry Cavill's like, man, you don't know how to harass women anymore. It sucks. And they're like, okay, let's make him the villain and kill him off.
I would also be fine if like Tom Cruise's producer is now insecure in his old age, but he's like, who are some of the hottest young up and coming actors? Bring them to me. Let me dunk on them.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
The little Jeremy Renner. Let me drop Superman off a cliff.
I wonder if that's it, where he was like, where they were like, you need to bring in a younger actor, and he's like, all right, fine. And he sees Renner, and he's like, oh, this fucker. Yeah. Look, Renner, you have to be in this. Right. And they like convinced him because he knew he didn't have shit on him.
Yeah.
I'd like, if I was in a position to make sketches and had access to lots of famous people, I would just have a room full of like Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan, and then like Variety comes out and was like, Miles Teller, is he the next Tom Cruise is like, oh fuck, he's gonna kill me.
Don't say that. Don't say
He's
that.
gonna fire me into space in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm gonna look so dopey.
And he's gonna look sweet. He's gonna do like 5 backflips.
Look how tall and handsome Henry Cavill is. Let's sprinkle him with some oil on the face, then put a hook in his forehead.
And put it on. Yeah, they exclusively damage his face to kill him.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is like, we'll see about that.
Tom Cruise is great. I don't care if he's in a cult that you need to get beat into and out of. Keep making your Mission Impossible movies, buddy.
Yeah, you delightful, glorious maniac.
All right.
I think that's probably.
I think that's it, right?
That's a special.
Yeah.
That is
Strong
very
chance
special.
I see this movie again tonight.
Nice.
I'm thinking about it. Really turning it over in my mind, like it would be fun to be watching that movie right now. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to this this special series retrospective on Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Dan, do you want to do your anti-plug? I know how you feel about plugs.
Anti-plug. If you're in Los Angeles, vote yes on Proposition 3. In the midterms, when they come out, and like spend this time to familiarize yourself with all the other midterms. But Prop 3 just gives approval for a bond for, I think, $8.9 billion for water in Los Angeles. A lot of the half that money is going to a lot of the lower income disenfranchised areas. So like not your Bel Airs or anything like that, but like your Inglewoods and your Comptons and so on, to fix all of the water piping that is running beneath the city, because it's a huge problem and we need that money. It's a no-brainer. The other half goes to Northern California for various conservation efforts. So just vote yes on that. That's my plug.
Water good?
Just
water
say
good.
yes to water.
Yeah.
That water anus.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, man. Well,
thanks for coming.
having you on the show that you willed into existence.
Yeah.
You created this by sheer force of will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do more things like this.
Sure.
I don't know what that would be.
Not a Mission Impossible. We're done with Mission Impossible.
I would love,
This is it
if
for
you
now.
guys aren't, watch Succession, so I have someone to talk about it with, because I don't right now.
Sure, I'll watch Succession.
Yeah, all right.
Let's pod about it.
Yeah, it's Pod Succession. Yeah, well, thanks, everybody.
All right.
Say goodbye.
Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.